first of all, for me, is about getting people who are coming into this setup and to understand what this setup means to people. It is not a case you just come in here anymore. I think we now have to get back to that stage where people understand what it means to play for West Indies. And me being the head coach is about me driving that institution, if you want to call it that, back to where I knew it was when I came into it. So I think being a leader here is about getting people to understand the direction that this team was going then and try to get it back on the tracks now.
Skip?
Yeah, again, along those same lines, in terms of, what Coach mentioned, obviously, his job, is to do it in that holistic, manner, off the field, setting up the stuff and making sure that guys understand what needs to take place. For myself, I think it's more of, on the field, as well, as much as it is off the field, it's about, being that driving force, on the field, being that guy, when the pressure is on, knowing the individuals that we have in the team, if it's youngsters or what, standing up and letting them, try to follow suit. Is about, leading, again, is about empowering, players and individuals so they can make a big contribution to West Indies cricket, because when you look at it, West Indies cricket is something that is embedded in us. It's something that we watch along the lines, the days, the 70s, the 80s, when these guys were dominant. Yes, you want to get back, to that sort of aspect of it. It's a process. We have been down in the doldrums, for a long time. But deep down inside, it's about a passion. And anything that you do with a passion, you have to do it, and you have to do it properly. So again, it's about empowering people and letting them understand the legacy of what they actually, represent. And as Coach mentioned, get back to the ways of winning. And by doing that, all different elements has to be put in place first before that can happen.
Definitely. Based on your observations throughout the year, what are your feelings on the current state of West Indies cricket in terms of crop of players, in terms of players incoming, and you could even feel free to touch on the administration and what needs to be done from that perspective in order to push us forward?
Look, I think we are never in the Caribbean wanting for talent, but I think that now is a time for us to realize that all the talent we have hasn't taken us anywhere, and that there are some things that have to go with the talent. There's teaching, there's understanding, there's learning how to play different games or all different formats. So it is, there's a lot to be done still. And as I said at the start, we don't have to worry about the talent. We have that in the Caribbean, but we have to put together everything else in the Caribbean that goes with the talent to make it a successful unit again.
From my point of view, obviously, we talk about fixing the cricket and wanting to take it forward, but as individuals, as Coach mentioned, the hard work needs to be put in. And I just believe, sometimes you look at it, it needs to start from the administration level. I think in this case, a little bit, if we can be the driving force, on the field with the group of guys, that we have at present, and we can continue to show that we have the courage and the determination and the desire to go forward and push forward, and also put ourselves in uncomfortable positions in order for this, sort of vehicle to go forward, then it will transcend onto the administration, and then they'll realize that, listen, we need to pull, our socks up. Because, when you look at it, we're not wanting for talent, talent for talent, pong for pong. We always be there, or even sometimes a lot better than what we have seen, around the world. But what they have around the world is structure. What they have is people investing in the cricket, investing in themselves, wanting to be the best version of you that you can be. We have sat in the doldrums of settling for mediocrity for a very, very long time. And it's, I think, a Caribbean thing. We're comfortable in the light where we are, and we just take it from there. So, us now trying to push that vehicle hopefully a lot of different persons and stakeholders can, jump, on board and help, because it's still a long way to go, for us in terms of playing on proper facilities, proper pitches in the Caribbean. Something that it's in all honesty, it's not of great standard. If we look at it, things that we call world class, when you go away, you see world class, and those are the things that we need to see as individuals, and from a administrative point of view, and look to better, our cricket. So we will try to be the vehicle and driving force behind that. We'll try to use it the other way, rather than keep thinking about they need to change it. Let us try to change it first, and hopefully they jump on board. What we could safely say, in our little time that we have been there, we have been well supported in different aspects of, what we want to achieve. And again, only results and more cricket will get them to, jump even further and push the barrier.
I just want to touch specifically on the developing youngsters that we have within the Caribbean. What can we do to help them to fulfill their full potential? I think that you both touched on the talent that we have around, but the issue is harnessing that talent and ensuring that that talent can come to the fore. So both as individuals and as a West Indies cricket unit, what can we do to ensure that the youngsters are coming through?
I think the first thing is that we have to provide the necessary, and the skipper mentioned it there earlier, the necessary facilities, first of all, for people to improve. And we go different places, and even we're here now in New Zealand, and when we were in quarantine, they took us to some places to practice there, and the quality of the wickets that we're practicing on makes people want to bat. We look at how the batsmen, the techniques of the batsmen who played for the New Zealand A team against us this week, and you see the difference in people who are playing on good wickets and growing up on good wickets, and our batsmen who, yes, we had to fight through a period because we're accustomed playing on the uneven wickets, the up and down wickets at home. So the technique looks different, although we can see that both sides guys can bat. I think added to that, one thing we forget to mention is education, because I think the more we educate our players, and I'm not talking cricket here, I'm talking life, I'm talking school, I'm talking everything like that. The more we educate the players, the quicker they improve, the quicker they pick up things that we want them to learn, the quicker they understand their own games and be able to take it forward. And I think I will always be saying that if you have two people can bowl the same, and one is been educated properly and one is not educated, the one who's educated is going to go further quicker. So we've got to put things like that in place. We've got to make sure that when we find the talent, that we have the right people working with them, the right coaches working with them, the right messages coming, and not wanting them to be the best, trying to teach them to be not the best in the Caribbean, the best in Trinidad, the best in Barbados, Jamaica, but the best in the world in our sport. And when we start teaching them that and they understand what it is to be the best in the world, then you're going to get guys coming out and being number 1, 2, and 3 in the world, which we had guys a number of years ago.
Yeah, education is one of the biggest keys, one of the things that, could gonna push you in anything, I can safely say. And, I say it all the time in terms of learning cricket and learning and understanding cricket and life. For me personally, I had to go away to see it, understand what is the professional, what is being a professional. As I said before, what we call professional, we just use that word. I don't think we understand the meaning, of it. And again, once you understand that aspect of it, everything transcends and everything comes to one, as a cricketer. As Coach mentioned, you have conversations with guys, about life, how they go about their life, how they look at life. And, sometimes a guy's life reflects how he plays on the cricket field indirectly. And that is one of the things that has affected us, greatly in the past 15, 20 years or so with our individuals. And it's a proven fact. We can go back and look at it. And we can have conversations, around that. So those sort of conversations and those sort of things are what is going to help, our youths and our youngsters be the best version of themselves and make them to understand that success doesn't come overnight. Sacrifice. We got to sacrifice a lot of things. Yes, it's not an 8 to 4 job, but we have to put in that amount of hours in our profession in order for us to do better, as individuals. So there's a couple of things that needs to actually change. Our mindsets need to change. We talk about this is our culture and this is our thing. I think culture is just a mindset. And you look at the world today, some of the things that are not important or we thought was important before the last 12 months or so has taught us that it's not about that. It's not about some of the unimportant things. It's not about the designer stuff. It's not about, being out there. It's about working hard, sacrificing, saving, thinking about the future, thinking about life after cricket, thinking about what needs to be done if I don't get that opportunity right now to play. And also, another thing going back to the cricket is that when you leave tour, that's not it. You go home and you have to follow up. Sometimes we tend to just go home, just relax and turn up for another tour. And these are some of the things that, again, we're trying to push. And we want guys to, and the regional coaches and everyone to understand that when these guys come out from regional cricket, we want them international cricket, that you don't want to have to learn your craft on the international scene, which a lot of us, and I say us very boldly, has had to do when we come on the international scene.
Right, thanks. Hold 1 second there, please. All right. So while we're kind of on the topic of nurturing, we're talking about youth and we're talking about Cricket West Indies as a family. I know that you're both big on family. So tell us what role your respective families have played, not only in supporting your efforts as coach and as a cricketer, but also in your mental stability, your focus, and your motivation. How does that family unit keep you together as a person?
I don't know if we have enough time for that, but Dario, look, without my family, I know for a fact that I wouldn't. There are a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do. Just the simple fact that we spent 53 days in a lockdown facility, as in for the series against England. All right, and without the ability, I wouldn't say guidance, but without that support from my wife and my kids, there's no way that I would have lasted for that time. There was no way that I would laugh off some of the comments when I had to go to a family engagement, because I think when you have that support and that family behind you, a lot of things that seem to be difficult, because it's not just you dealing with it, because you have a base behind you dealing with it, it gets easier. And the traveling, the being away and everything, if you don't have the backing of your family and the support of your family, none of your career can go anywhere, because you will always be thinking about home and think the comfort of having the support is that sometimes you don't have to think about home. Home thinks about you, and they call, and they know when to call, they know what to say, they know when to lift you, they know when to laugh with you and things like that. So family is the biggest part of all of this. And I think COVID has just shown us that we look after family. That's one of the good things that has come out of COVID, that family is important. We've seen people rushing back to know that family is important.
Yeah, to follow up on that, obviously a bit younger than Coach, but again, it's just like the word professional. We just use it loosely. Family, we just use it loosely. You look around, you see a lot of these franchises and even the international teams now want to call themselves a family. But do we understand the importance of what a family or family members actually, bring to us, as individuals? For me personally, I can safely say that without the backing of my family, I would not been able to sustain and be sane and be able to still face, media and people with a smile on my face. These are the ones that kept me, sane all through these times. And again, we speak about COVID. Yes, COVID brought us together for that last 12 months, which is very, very good. But what I have seen recently with these bubbles, obviously, Coach and they were in England, I was not in England, is that having my family with me in IPL, going through these bubbles when you can't go anywhere, was a big, big factor in me just being able to relax and focus on cricket. Coming back to them, having their companies and their laughs and everything, the kids running around, gets you to take your mind, off of cricket. And I can imagine how some of these or these or all individuals are going through, bubble after bubble without their family. My wife has played an integral part, in keeping things on the right track, at home while we go out and we travel so many months, for the year. So again, that's all part of education and understanding and getting guys to understand, life. Family is very, very, very important. And we sometimes tend to underestimate how important, they are. But when you look back and you sit down in times like these, when you're in isolation and you're by yourself, it really makes you think and it really makes you wonder. And hopefully, going forward, if this is how the world is going to be, international boards need to take a look at that and have things in place that guys who are fortunate enough would be able to travel with their families, because we can safely say the England tour guys weren't available to travel with their family. Here in New Zealand, same thing. So, these are very, very important things that we need to look at for the mental well-being, of our cricketers, going forward. But again, very, very, very important, family.
Just to add to that, if you watch a lot of the teams as they get successful and they get more into their success and the command of different teams, you will see that there's a lot of different family units. There's not as many single, for want of a better word, single or players among them. There's a lot of people who have families back home. And when you start having a family, you start to think different. You start to assess things different. You start to put things together and know how to support other people differently. So it's a big thing when you look at the different teams that are successful and how many of them are family members, are heads of families and things like that.
Right. Kieron, you touched on some domestic. You touched on the IPL, which is domestic T20 success that you have enjoyed recently. Phil, you've also semi-recently enjoyed some domestic T20 success in the CPL 2019. But having won the 2016 World Cup, this is for Phil, with the team, what are some of the attributes and characteristics that you view as important to building a winning unit? So you just actually mentioned that people who have that type of family orientation and family backing tend to be able to deal with their teammates better also. But what other characteristics or attributes do you think are important to forming that winning unit?
I think for me, the first thing is that am I willing to, and I use die here, am I willing to die for this team? It's as simple. Am I willing to do everything that I necessarily can to help this team to win? And from now, we started back October last year, and that's one of the things that we've been putting to guys. We don't want people who just want to be here for a little bit, and then we want people who are willing to do everything for this team. And I think the characteristic is I am playing for West Indies. I am proud of playing for West Indies. I will give everything that I can this West Indies team. And for me, when you come with that sort of attitude and that sort of that mental attitude that you come with, that I want to do everything, then you're going to find a way to do what's necessary. At the end of the final, everybody's sitting there, but everybody in that team had that attitude that we wanted to win that tournament for whatever reason. And sitting there and watching Carlos do that, you know that everybody was on the same page. So that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get everybody on the same page again, and knowing that you have to do what this team needs you to do to win that game.
Coach, also, are there any background stories from that tournament that you maybe haven't shared before, maybe you've shared briefly, that you'd like to tell us about, that you think contributed to that success?
I think little things contributed. Well, there's one big thing which I don't really want to go back to. I think the world know what happened when we were on our way to that tournament and everything. I think one thing that got us together is that we didn't feel that we were backed by our leaders at the time. We felt that they didn't want us to win the tournament. We sat together and we decided that we wanted to win the tournament. And it's when you start getting to know people, you know that some people don't talk. Some people, when they talk, they bring out a fire. And one of the first meetings we had before the first practice in Dubai, we talked about what we want to get from this tournament and what we want to get from the little camp we were having. And the last words that were spoken in that little huddle was Marlon coming out and saying, "Gents, let's go and get what is ours." And it had all the back and forth with the captain and the board and everything like that. And to hear Marlon come out and say that, I think everybody just felt, well, we are going to this and we're going to be there at the end. And I think one other thing, we were playing a practice match and you saw one of the water breaks, you saw Chris running out with water and making sure he was running wrong and giving people water. And you felt, we said earlier about family, but you felt like everybody was on the same page. And I think that told me then and there that we would be up there at the end. You can't say whether you'd win it or not, but we would be up there at the end.
Kieron, unfortunately, you had to pull out of that tournament. However, you're definitely...
Yeah, you pull out on me. Pull out in the last minute on me, man.
However, you're no stranger to winning. You're actually the most decorated T20 player in the history of the game. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts on, attributes and different characteristics that you view as important in achieving such a goal.
Again, definitely one of the things is what the coach said. You're willing to die and you're willing to do whatever is necessary for the team to win. Me personally, obviously, being able to travel the world and play in different franchises and play international cricket, you have to adapt to different cultures, conditions, and everything. And once you get there and you understand what is your role and what you need to do as an individual, no matter the situation, then that's one of the most important things. I've faced, situations where, batting late, getting upset in different times. But if that's what's required, that's what, I have to do. The other thing, for me is encouraging your teammates and empowering them with knowledge and whatever experience, that you have in order to get through to situations. So there and then, as an individual, you know what a guy is going to do in any given situation. In a pressure situation, the guys are who are going to give it away. The guys are going to fight. And you try to empower them to get them and get everybody, on that same wheel, so you can, go forth and in any situation you can come out of it. What you see in champion teams is that when one guy falters, someone else picks up the mantle. And that's where, you're on, as a team. Just going back to 2016, I remember watching that, semi-final and final. I came to India, I was on Star Sports for the final. But in the semi-final, I think we played against India, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And Dhoni and Kohli, was running mocking us in terms of getting twos and stuff, in Wankhede. And they were all praises of how they were batting and, they were running twos and all these things. And they didn't give us a chance after they scored that amount of runs. And, the guys went out and they showed West Indies what about, which was power hitting. And we powered our way into the final. And sitting there and watching the final, it was always like this. And again, me pulling out in 2016, that was a blessing in disguise because it gave Carlos that opportunity to get selected. Again, as coach mentioned, he knew at the end it would be to the top. But it took a magnificent innings, from Marlon, once again, in a World Cup final. And Carlos Bradley to come on at 4 sixes, to finish off that game. And that goes to show that at no point in time, they thought that, they're going to lose this game. They're going to fight at the end. And it was fantastic, watching these guys, lift the trophy. So again, winning is a habit. Winning is a mentality. Winning is attitude. You understand? We say win at all costs. The only thing is win. When you step on a cricket field or you're competing, it's to win. When I'm playing against my 10-year-old son at this point in time, I still want to win. In all honesty.
Yeah.
And I want to teach him that sort of mentality is about winning. Yes, you want to win at all costs. There's always, little loopholes you can use, but that should be the mentality. And once you have that, embedded in you, it doesn't matter where you go, what sport you play, whatever you do, you want to win. And that is something that is not really taught, but it's something that you need to have as an individual and not settling. It makes no sense me going to a tournament and getting knocked out. I want to be there at the end on the podium lifting the trophy, no matter how many times you have won that title. You want to win. And it's as simple as that.
Now, being a year out from defending this World T20 Championship, are you two seeing the formation of a winning unit?
We're trying to put together our squad, but we started targeting things and formations that we thinking about from, as I said, since October, because the preparation was for now. Seeing that it's been pushed back a year, we're getting a chance to see a few more players. And what my hope is that by the time we get to February, March, even before these guys go to IPL, we will have what we think is the 18 players that we're going to go World Cup with, and out of that we have to pick 15. So the formation is coming. The way we want to play is coming. So as I said, hopefully by the time they're leaving to go IPL, we would have had a better idea of what sort of formation we'll be going to India with.
Yeah, just to follow up on it, it's just a matter of, I think in our minds, and in the guys who have been around since then to now, they have an idea of how we want to play and what we want to achieve and how we're going to go about it. We have been hit with a couple obstacles in terms of not being able all the time to get the right combination of guys who we want at any given time. The closest that we might have come to that would have been in Sri Lanka. And that was the time frame we was looking at, at around that time. This is what we have our next couple of series. This is what we're looking to go with, to go through. Then COVID. So again, it's a matter of, starting over. But the foundation of how we want to go about playing the cricket and what we want to achieve, that remains. It's just a matter of putting the pieces of the puzzle together and the right personnel in the right positions and guys getting different experiences in different conditions or whatever. And hopefully come when World Cup comes, once we get to play this year, we're right on the money and we're not scrambling in the back end. That's something that has hampered us before, and it's something we have identified that, we want to put in place, from before.
And my final question to both of you will be, how much would it mean to you to be able to defend that T20 championship?
I I used to coach Afghanistan. So when the first time I went there and had Mohamed Nabi, Rashid Khan, a few other talented players, and we were playing a tournament with some of the other associates, and they're telling me, Coach, you know, we've done well today. We've done well. I said, gents, yes, we've done well. We have more to do. But the one thing I love more than winning a game is trophies. And as we go along, I have a special place for this trophy, and I have a special place for the big one. Right? So don't tell me about little series and things like that. See, when it comes to the trophies and the big tournaments, that's what I like. So I like trophies. Simple as that. And to get trophies, you have to win quite a few matches. You have to beat all the big teams. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And obviously early up, I told you at the start, or just now, was about winning. So for me, it will mean a lot. Obviously, I missed the opportunity in 2016 to lift that trophy. 2012, when we lifted our first T20 championship, I was there. There was no better feeling up till now. As much as I've won all over the world, winning for West Indies and winning a T20 World Cup will always be the pinnacle of my success. And again, obviously, I love to taste it, again. So for me, it's about whatever it takes for us to win that trophy, we're going to do. And again, you only give yourself a chance if you prepare well and you go through the process and you got everybody moving in one direction. And when I say everybody, I mean not only the 15 players and the management staff, but from the administration, go right down.
Guys, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to have this engagement with me.
I know about the busy thing when you're in lockdown.
Well,
plenty time.
which I know that there's better things that you could be doing in Queenstown.
Well, unfortunately, I have nothing better to do.
Exactly.
Kieron, looking forward to seeing you on Thursday.